Okay, here we go. Movies inspired by Italian horror. All right, we'll just jump right into the first one, okay? First one. All right, first one. Boom. Guys, tell me what movie I'm talking about when I'm talking about Friday the 13th Part 2. What Italian horror movie does this movie kind of take some cues from? All right? This is your first question. All right? Here we go. Here we go. So James gets it. He says Bay. Actually, Casey said Bay of Blood. Yeah. And guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, Bay of Blood. Watch that freaking movie. It is great. And I think Bay of Blood. I mean, this movie came out, and I want to say what, like 70, 71, something like that. 68, 69. 69. Ronnie the limo driver. Alex Biles, thank you so much. I appreciate that. There are not one, not two, but 3 kills taken directly from Bay of Blood in Friday the 13th Part 2. Okay? One of them is what's called the shish kebab kill, where you have a couple having sex. Now, in the Friday movie, they don't really show anything. You know, you just see like the spear through the bed, but you don't see like the act. Now, I know that there's like an unrated cut that's never been released that actually shows it, but if you want to see the kill in all its glory and done beautifully, watch Bay of Blood, because you see the killer coming towards them, and then you see the spike, and then the after effect, and you see the spear going through both of them. It's gnarly. But also, there is a kill with a woman in a wheelchair, and then there's another kill with a character that gets a machete to the face, just like that guy. So they kind of combine those 2 kills and put them in, in one of the greatest freaking kills in the Friday franchise. The wheelchair guy getting the... So somebody definitely had a hard-on for freaking Bay of Blood when they were writing. Because when you're doing these movies, you're just thinking, and it's, especially if they're like dependent on kills, then you got to get creative and say, okay, now how we're going to do this kill, and how we're going to do this kill. A lot of directors back then, they would go to Italian horror for their playbook, because I would say, because this was before, the internet and all that stuff, a lot of these Italian horrors weren't that well known in America. They might have been well known by directors, American directors that are into that lingo and everything, but just to the casual movie viewer, many of them, they never even like heard of Italian horror. So, yeah. So fun, right? So there's your first one right there, okay? All right, so yeah, that's the first one. All right, next one. Next one. Here we go. Now you tell me. Not directly from any particular movie, but why is Halloween 5 what I would refer to as the Giallo movie of the franchise? There's a few reasons for this. I want to hear from you guys. Why would I say that Halloween 5 specifically has like Italian horror vibes, right? You give me an answer. I'm going to take a drink. All right. This is fun, right? I'm having a good time doing this. All right. Okay. I'm not seeing any answers, so I'm going to have to give you the answer, okay? Halloween 5 is one of my favorite slashers and movies ever, so I love to see this. Pitchfork Death, that's an answer. That's a good answer. Fast Car with Cool Dude Jerk Guy. Okay. French director. Yeah. Guys, I always forget his freaking name. What is the director's name? I always forget his name, but he's a European director. So that European aesthetic couldn't help but find its way into this movie. And then Rick Michaels brings up the most obvious choice, The Man in Black. I could literally do like probably a top 10 list of reasons why Halloween 5 feels like a Giallo movie. But The Man in Black, he looks like a Giallo killer, even though he doesn't kill. Actually, he kills at the end with the gun, but And you could see shooting in Giallo movies. Anything, like, all bets are off in Giallo movies with Giallo killers. Matter of fact, there's quite a few Giallo movies where the killer did kill with a gun. So, I mean, I could probably do a laundry list of them, actually, with the ones I've seen. So, but yeah, Giallo, he had like the freaking fedora hat. He had the trench coat. The whole getup. Also, just the weird kind of off-kilter nature of the movie that's different from the rest of the franchise. It gave it this air of like unpredictability. You know, like you never knew, if this was your first time watching Halloween 5, you never knew what was around the corner. It was a very strange movie, and I tell you, it's really grown on me over the years. I love it now. And maybe that's because I love Italian horror so much. Every time I watch it, I kind of set it aside from the franchise, and I think I'm watching a Giallo horror movie. You know? And hell, even Myers' mask doesn't look normal in this movie. It's probably the most out there of all the Halloween masks. And there's quite a few different Halloween masks, but you know, it's the most out there. It really is. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at my mask. It's cool. Thank you, Dave Vanderhoff, who sent me that. I love the Halloween. It might be my favorite freaking... Guys, you want me to show you my Halloween 5 mask? There you go. Isn't that better? Look at that. It's a beautiful looking mask. Love that. The Giallo movie of the franchise. What's that movie right there, guys? That is a great freaking example. And I just reviewed Blowout, directed by De Palma. But this is a movie that I reviewed a few years ago for my late friend Derek Mayo. And this was his favorite movie. That was the first time I had ever seen Dressed to Kill. And wow, what a beautiful movie. You know, the split diopter. De Palma always loved using this effect, and so many directors use it to this day. It's actually in the Evil Dead Rise movie. The split diopter is actually in quite a few scenes in Evil Dead Rise, and I noticed that immediately. And yes, Nancy Allen was probably liquid hot magma back then. Jesus. But yeah, definitely rip Derek. I still think about him all the time. I miss him to death. And every time horror guy, we're gonna get to that. It might be on this list. But you know, I can't watch this movie without getting a tear out because I think of Derek every time. And I hate it because it's such a beautiful movie, and it's the type of movie I'd love to watch more, but it's hard for me to watch it. Every time I throw it on, I get a little emotional. So yeah, I miss Derek terribly. But this movie is phenomenal with Michael Caine and the ever so lovely Nancy Allen. So that's this one. Let's go to the next one. Since we're on De Palma, Body Double. Now, this one is debatable, but I threw it on here because it's De Palma, and I think De Palma was influenced by a lot of Italian horror. And, you know, that horror guy mentions Tenebrae there. This movie, it is brightly lit. You know, the color palette is kind of all over the place. It's a very sexy movie. And Giallo movies, they're very sexual in nature. You know, they're very sexual in nature. And this movie really leans on that. Body Double. If you've never seen Body Double, definitely check it out. One of my favorite De Palma movies. I used to watch it back in the 80s when it came out. I'd watch it on HBO. But Melanie Griffith, Craig Wasson in there. And I love that shot there, too, because that door has a mirror on it. So you can see her reflection in there. De Palma was the most creative director with... you know, with putting his scenes together and not going like with the obvious choice with his framing. He always tried to think about how can I make this shot interesting, you know? And that's the one thing I noticed with his movies. There's always an interesting way of telling a story, you know, and he always finds it, and it's just beautiful. So, but this movie, it's a very sexy movie, okay? And Craig Wasson, he finds his a girlfriend or wife at the beginning of the movie sleeping with another man. His girlfriend was played by the great Barbara Crampton, who has a single scene in the movie. That's it. Doesn't even have a line. And then he's an actor, and so he's having these panic attacks when he's trying to act. And he's doing this vampire role at the beginning of the movie, and every time he just freaks out, and he's scared he's going to lose his job. So he takes a break. He goes and hangs out with this guy, and then he sees this woman, kind of like Peeping Tom. He's looking through this periscope. What is that? What you call it, guys? Periscope. And this woman is dancing seductively in the window across, right? In a high rise. So he witnesses a murder. And so then that's kind of the takeoff of the story, and then him trying to figure out, why this murder happened, whatever. Telescope. Thank you very much, Casey. And yeah, great movie. Now, De Palma wasn't afraid to let shots linger. You do have to have a little bit of patience with some of his shots. And there's a shot or two in this movie where it does linger for a good moment, but he's just trying to sell the emotion in the scene. So he always gets a pass from me for that stuff. All right. So next one is, now this is a stretch. It's a stretch, but I'm going to put it on here. Black Christmas. Now, let's figure this one out together. I'm trying to remember, why did I put this on the list? I don't know. Help me out, guys. I need you to think for me, okay? Why did I put... Maybe it's the early 70s aesthetic, and most of these movies came out in the early 70s, late 60s. It does have that grindhouse type feel to it. A lot of these Italian horror movies they took place at a college dorm, This obviously is a college campus, a fraternity. So I think that's probably because most of the not most of them, but a lot of the Giallo movies I've seen, they do have very young adult females that are in college. Like Torso has that. Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. There's so many of them that have like a college setting. And this is kind of that, right? So yeah, Tom Ungren, what's up, man? So that's probably my biggest stretch of the countdown, but just that grindhouse feel to it, right? Okay, next one, and this is one that somebody mentioned earlier. I think it was that horror guy, right? Pieces. Now, Pieces. I think it's a Giallo film that's just not filmed in Italy. I think this was filmed in Spain, but you would swear that it was filmed in Italy because everything about it is Giallo. The killer looks like a Giallo killer. The score is like a Giallo type of score. The craziness, unpredictability is insane. It's a whodunit. The ending is amazing. The ending is and they give you a hint right there on that picture, but man, the ending is so damn insane and hilarious, and it's probably one of my favorite slasher endings of all time. Talk about just kicking you in the nuts, no pun intended. But yes, Chrissy, I think Pieces is guys, what do you think? Is Pieces a Giallo film? I think it is. It's the Giallo film from another mother, right? But it's one of my favorites. I love this damn movie so freaking much, and it's so excessive. The blood is just buckets by the gallons all over the camera. It's so fun. And then you got this really weird performance. I'm trying to remember her name, but she's, she screams bastard, bastard. And I don't know if they were just running out of film or time, but that's the take. They took that take, and it's in horror history, one of the greatest moments ever put to film. I love it. And you got like this martial arts guy, this Bruce Lee looking dude that just shows up out of nowhere because he was just kind of on set that day, and they were like, hey, let's shoot a scene with him. And he starts doing karate on our main character. It was so freaking great. Love Pieces to death. Karate Professor, yeah. I wish I could review Pieces every day. It's so fun. Okay, here's one for you. Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. And if I'm being honest, you could probably state your case for a couple of the other Nightmare movies. And I think the obvious thing that I'm getting at here is, one thing is Freddy. Like, if an Italian horror director created Freddy, it would almost work, because Freddy's not like a normal American slasher killer. He is one of the most unique slasher killers ever created. And if he were created in another country, it would make sense. The first Nightmare movie, it is kind of out there, even for today's standards. It's just so unique, and thank God it's so unique, because I love it to death. But I think the remake really drives home that cinematography that you get in Giallo films, especially like the opening with the diner. I love that scene. Guys, by the way, I dig this movie, if I'm being honest. I don't get the hate that this movie gets. I don't think it's the best Nightmare movie, but it's far from the worst. It's dark, and you know what? I had been wanting a freaking dark Nightmare movie for ages. I don't think Jackie Earle Haley can capture what Robert Englund captured, but I don't think he's horrible either, And I think it's just a beautifully lit movie, and I think it's captures what is the best about the Nightmare movies as far as like being dark and scary and sinister. I think the biggest problem I have with the movie is, A, the CGI is horrible, and B, Rooney Mara is terribly miscast. Okay, I think Katie Cassidy should have been Nancy in this movie, But that's the thing, though. Katie Cassidy is so good, I think, as Tina, that maybe they should have just found another Nancy. I don't know. Like, I think if Rooney Mara wasn't so abysmal in this movie, then I think it would have been accepted a lot more, because I really enjoyed it. And I think the ending was the wrong choice. They should not have done what they did in the ending of this movie. Okay, so yeah, it does have problems, but I'm not gonna lie. Every time I watch it, I don't turn it off, and I get into it. I have a good time with it. I like the characters. If you were in a situation that these characters were in, you'd be pretty damn dismal too, right? It's not a quote unquote fun movie. You don't go into the Nightmare remake for like a good time. This isn't Party City, right? Or what's the movie I'm thinking of? Hold on, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, this isn't Killer Party, okay? And by the way, just to cheer, because I've lost half of you and probably 3/4 of you right now with the Nightmare remake. I'm going to bring you right back with this recommendation. Killer Party is phenomenal. I love this freaking movie so much, and I just discovered it, I think, last year. Check out my review. But man, talk about a fun-ass movie with a nice surprise in the final act. It's kind of a slasher, but there's something more. There's something more there. And I love Killer Party. All right? Killer Party. Can't recommend it enough. Okay. Yes, Aaron, I agree. The micronap aspect, I dug that. That was kind of cool, actually. So, yeah. All right. Next one. How many we got left? We got two. No, we got three more. Okay, so I'll go through these real quick. All right. Next one is the first Terminator. I mean, look at that picture, guys. If you were looking at an Italian movie poster and the Terminator never existed, and you saw that picture, you would probably buy it. Yeah, that's an Italian horror movie, because what's the movie you guys think of when you see this poster? I think of like Demons, and I think Demons might have come out after Terminator, but Demons, and I'm not saying Demons has a Terminator in it. It doesn't, but there's a character that kind of has this type of face in that movie. The colors in Terminator, especially in the tech noir scene, are very like Italian horror-esque. Even kind of the nature, of the killer and the movie, there's a little bit of that in there, right? So I don't know. It's a reach. I know that it's a far reach, but I wouldn't doubt if James Cameron might have been influenced a little bit by Italian horror movies. Even down to the music. Like some of the music in this movie feels like the music that you would see in like Demons and stuff like that. Slow motion. Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah. Killers. I watched Demons once. Need to rewatch it and the sequel. Yeah, Demons is phenomenal. Demons and Demons 2. I mentioned Demons 2 in my Evil Dead Rise review. Great high-rise movie. Next one. This is so freaking obvious. I don't even need to spend too much time on this, but Malignant. James Wan even went on record. This was his kind of homage to Italian horror. The killer in the movie had an Italian horror look to him. But he was highly influenced by Argento, like lighting and whatnot. And you can see it right there. And I'm not going to lie, that was one of the alluring things to me when I first got into Giallo was, like Suspiria. When I first saw Suspiria, and the colors, cinematography is just undeniable in these movies, if anything. So, and it just so happens I loved the stories. I loved the violence, the blood. And Malignant, that's what it feels like. It feels like a fun Italian horror type of movie, right? So, yeah, that's an obvious choice. And I think one more. Yeah, one more. And if you paid attention to the thumbnail, then, of course, Last Night in Soho, again, Edgar Wright was influenced by Italian horror movies. He stated his love for them, and he wanted to make a movie that has kind of an out there, wild type of plot that's a murder mystery. I mean, it really is, following kind of an Italian horror playbook, right? It's got some ambiguity in it, and yeah, it's just a beautiful movie to look at too. And it's Edgar Wright, Edgar Wright. By the way, Edgar Wright actually wrote Ant-Man, or he was like a co-writer on Ant-Man, and he was supposed to direct it. And man, I would have loved if Edgar Wright actually directed Ant-Man. That would have been pretty damn interesting, actually, because I watched Ant-Man again recently, and again, that's another movie that I had a good time with. Maybe it's just my mood, I don't know, and I was thinking about like some of these scenes, you can definitely see the Edgar Wright-isms in it. So, but yeah, Last Night in Soho I think it was probably in my top 3 of that year. Was it last year that this movie came out? I can't even remember, but yeah. What's up, guys? You are at the end of the DDLive clip. What I do is I like to clip these out if I think the topic is important or something that's newsworthy. So thank you for watching, and if you want to watch more, you can go over here, you can go over here, click on one of those. And yeah, hopefully I can do this for 20 seconds, which I think I did. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching, guys.